Welcome to Lebanon, Ohio, where we are in the championship bracket play at the WFDF 2018 World Ultimate Club Championships. Slow White out of the United States taking on Friskee from Australia. I'm Emmy Fitzgerald, joined by Becky Thompson. And Becky, we have a story of two strong teams from their respective country who had quite the path to get here.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got Slow White out of the United States. They finished 4th at the USAU National Championship this year. Of course, they were first the year before that, so a strong program for several years. They've gone undefeated, Emmy, to get to this point, winning most of their games very easily, despite a narrow pool play game where they won on Universe over Spain's Movie Disc. So not totally untested here either. On the other hand, we've got Friskee, who came first at the Australian qualifier to get to the World Ultimate Club Championships here. They have won all of their games except for one in pool play as well, a loss to a German team, and a close game in their crossover, only winning 14-12 over Canada's Banana Cutters. So tested a little bit more than Slow White, who played Colombia's Macondo, winning 12-6 in that one. So hard to predict what we're going to see here as well, Emmy.
And that's really the beauty of bracket play, is that it's anybody's game. Slow White, a long storied program out of the Boston area, one of two mixed teams representing the United States from Boston. The other was Wildcard, who we saw in the showcase game to open WUCC. But Wildcard has had a great tournament. Slow White, also such a storied program, and they will start on offense in the end zone at the left of your screen. You can see on the backs of their jerseys, they don't have their actual last name numbers. They have nicknames, kind of playing off of the Snow White and the Seven Dwarves type theme. You love to see the culture of teams versus contrasting Friskee. They don't have names on the backs of their numbers, or backs of their jerseys, rather, just numbers, but they have a heart on their sleeve, and their logo makes up a heart to show how they play with heart. They leave their heart on the field. Everything required to do well at the World Ultimate Club Championships.
Yeah, and they have a saying on their team as well. They say, we love our bread, we love our butter, but most of all, we love each other. And I think you can see that in the way that they're demonstrating their love for each other in their jerseys, let alone the way they play together on the field. They're definitely a team that will bring a lot of chemistry here today, so it should be an interesting, two teams with a lot of love for each other, I think, Emmy.
Most definitely. Friskee coming from Sydney, and they've been a club since 2006, but in 2010 really decided to take it a little more seriously. That happens a lot of times. Players playing with their friends, they look around and say, I think we could be good. Let's really try and have a go at it. They got 3rd at Mixed Nationals that year in 2010, coming in their first year competing. Kind of were amazed by that and have kept building. Slow White, a contender for the national title at Club Nationals. They ended up losing in the 3-4 game to BFG, who's playing on the field behind us, 13-8. So they got 4th, but that was still enough to earn a bid to WUCC. So Slow White in the white jerseys, Friskee in the black, in a sunny day with some picturesque clouds overhead. It's about 85 degrees Fahrenheit. 5 after 5 in the afternoon local time. And the first pull is underway. It'll hit the ground as Slow White works out of an initiation offense. 3 handlers back. 4 cutters upfield. Looking for a zone look from Friskee. And they're approaching the end zone. The shot goes up right off the bat. Tommy Ferguson gets the first points on the board for SLO.
Yeah, and a little bit of a junk zone look there from Friskee. Slow White made it look easy, taking their time to work it through the cup, finding those little gaps until the deep option opened up, not really forcing anything. So a very clean first offensive point here from Slow White.
Alex Trahey, the anchor of this SLO offense to start the game. Nearly every other in the passes. So he just shoots that backhand over to Ferguson. So 1-0 early on. Slow White with the offensive hold. It is a game to 15 in this first half of play. Friskee now to receive their first opportunity on offense. We've seen a lot of teams do these junk zones to try and stop the huck right away. And it's floating. It's caught in the backfield. Wickrama swinging over. Straight up the line to E1. Pick called, checked back into play. Looking to get it off the line. She sees Alexander Gann. Gann, a main handler in the offense. He leads the team so far in the tournament with assists, 18 so far. 9 goals. So there's Gann on the far sideline. Centered, continuing over to Wickrama. Wickrama looking for the end zone, and right out of the sky for Friskee, so calm and collected to score. That was Nicholas Doucet.
And I'm surprised by the amount of time that Ishan Wickrama waited to put that huck up as well. You usually see those go up a little bit sooner, but with a throw that precise, I guess he doesn't really need to, Emmy.
Wickrama, the project manager from Sydney, looking to go over to Doucet. Doucet, 10 goals so far in the season, or in this tournament, rather. That will make his 11th. So a prime target that Friskee chooses to use right away. Wastes no time in getting their first point.
Yeah, and I like that start from both of these teams. 2 clean offensive points. We haven't seen a turnover yet in this game, Emmy, and that's always an exciting way to start off. It's going to be 2 strong offensive lines matching up against each other.
There's the soaring pull from Friskee. Smith moves that to Chang. Over the top. Westgate. Near sideline, Johnson. Tanner Johnson out of the UMass program. Star player for that team. And Johnson, as Slow White approaches the red zone, he'll swing it around. Big continue. Anyo over to Smith. Johnson surveying his options, trying to stay patient, but knowing he's so close to the end zone. And putting that up into space. Vicky Chang is there. And Vicky Chang using her body positioning so well. How about that extension from Johnson to keep the disc alive?
Yeah, I thought he was going to have to lay out for that for a second, but he's got quite the long reach, and you see the layout bid attempt for the D there from Friskee reeled into the hands. Johnson just putting that one with enough space in front of his receiver. We're at 3 clean points here, Emmy.
Yes, both teams playing to their offensive strengths. Johnson really the every other, nearly, maybe every 3 passes in that offensive point. Plays a similar role at UMass, who was featured on the USA Ultimate live streams in the college championship. Had the pleasure of seeing him play there, coached by Tina Booth.
Yeah, and I had the absolute pleasure of playing against him at U24s in the mixed division in Perth as well. And I have to say, a special moment, but he's fairly unstoppable on the field, Emmy.
And Friskee also hoping to be unstoppable. Wickrama, that give and go, bit of a travel, so checks back in. Right off the hands of the receiver. That is the first turnover of the game, and will give Slow White the opportunity as Waite goes over to pick up. You see this vert stack with so much space on the force side. Doherty goes around, running onto it. It's Lundquist shooting for the end zone to get the first break. Annie Fisher runs straight to it. Slow White goal.
Yeah, great play there from Slow White. They value the disc in their hands every time they get it. Work it patiently up the field, even under the pressure of the Friskee defense, to punch it in for the first break of the game.
And Slow White leads Friskee 3-1 in this first half of WCC play.
Catch it early. Help us teach kids about cancer symptoms through Ultimate Frisbee clinics. Join us and speak up.
And in this first half of bracket play at the WIFDIF 2018 World Ultimate Club Championships, Emmy Fitzgerald with Becky Thompson. Slow White pulling after getting their first break so far of the game. Wickrama to receive. Centered. Gann looking for that continuation. And a whistle on the play will be checked back in. Far sideline. Gann on the near sideline, surveying the options. That small, tight space with the give and go. That is a goal from Doucette to Alexander Gann.
Another clean point there from Friskee. Still the only turnover we've seen in this game coming on that last point, taking advantage of those small spaces as well. Like you said, Emmy, I like the way that they throw and go, always following their passes and Slow White is having a hard time keeping up with them.
And once you get that first step from the give and go, the acceleration, it's just like going into first gear from a manual transmission in a car. It's so tough to catch up if you're a defender.
That's a fantastic analogy, Emmy.
So Alexander Gann with his first goal of the game, as Friskee is down a break. Gann saying he loves mixed. He went to the beach for a holiday. One of his friends bought a Frisbee, and they had so much fun learning. His friends decided to join a university club. He's the only one that stuck with it, but what a player he's become. Slow White now on offense. Smith looks for the scoober to Trahey. Smith pushing through the middle, and the flick to the end zone bounces off the hands of Zalk. Zalk making that nice cut, but the throw's not there.
Yeah, now we're seeing the first mistake made from Slow White as well, and that's got to be good. No matter the outcome of this point, that is good for Friskee to see that they can get those turnovers and they can generate something different.
So Friskee now with the opportunity to get the break. Far sideline continuing. Nice one-handed catch from Deborah Lee. But the continuation is no good. Another chance for Johnson. Over to Smith. Johnson headed to the end zone. Opens up spacing underneath for Caitlin Go. Johnson in the power position, shooting for the end zone. Here's another opportunity for Zalk. She goes up with one hand, and that's all she needs to come down to get the goal.
Yeah, great read there from Zalk. You love to see players battling it in those one-on-one, head-to-head matchups, but coming down with that one, a good hold here for Slow White. I think they needed to get that after their miscue earlier on. But Friskee, Emmy, now playing some tighter defense, starting to come out with a little bit more pressure, only trailing by 2 points here.
If you put Johnson into power position, he will take advantage of it. But you see, to your point, the defender was very close to Zalk and forcing her to really make a play. Friskee will not let anything go uncontested.
Yeah, I really had to battle to get the positioning on that one with a high disc floating in. Takes a lot of skill to be able to find the disc in those situations as well.
So Slow White up by 2 early in the first half of play. Wickrama back behind the disc. Over to Gann. And overthrowing Halden. Another break chance. Chris Waite moving that mark to get the around to Baranis. And backhand looking to get to the front cone, one-on-one. There's Max Halden, one of the captains for this Friskee team. So Halden's block will give another opportunity for Friskee. Checking in on the front part of the end zone, difficult spot on the field. Swings over to Halden, to Gann. Friskee trying to get it over to the other side of the field, and miscommunication still in Slow's end zone. Small passes. Chris Waite is there for the goal. That is another break for Slow White.
Yeah, and Slow White really starting to take control at that point as well. They put more pressure on the Friskee players, and that's caused a miscommunication. But you can see as well, the Friskee players haven't hung their heads down yet. They're still up, smiling, high-fiving each other here too. So a tough start in terms of going down 5-2. We saw at the start of this game, three clean points in a row, and now it's become a little bit more scrappy.
Both teams playing really tight defense. And Friskee had the open space, but a little miscommunication where it was going. Friskee coached, brought two coaches from Sydney, Yu Ang In and Anson Chung. They even have a headset communication with each other so they can communicate constantly without having to yell. Wickrama catches the pull over to Chang. Through coverage is Parsons. Parsons will reset to Gann. A pick is called as Friskee gains a lot of yards. Does not appear to affect the throw. Checked back in. And approaching the red zone, Alexander Gann hoping to get that score. The Blady throw up in the air, bounces off the hands of Parsons. A difficult angle to catch.
Yeah, that one was coming in quite hard on the blade there. Hard to read that, especially when you have no choice but to go up with one hand to try and make that grab.
Slow White walking it up. Daniel Glatt off the bat. Centers to Nelson. Hampton up the field. Quick movement in the center. Nelson over to Fisher. She'll continue on. Daniel Glatt back to Nelson. Nelson, now the every other, this defensive point. The shot to the end zone. It's hanging and veering to the left. And there's the block. And a foul is called. The players will discuss it amongst themselves first. And if they would like, they can go to a game advisor. They don't have to take their advice or even hear their advice if they don't want to.
Yeah, it's a nice thing about having game advisors there to provide a second set of eyes, but it still comes down to the player's decision. Hard to see from our angle here, Emmy, what the contact was. We're going to get a second look at it here. You can see Parsons tracking behind the Slow White player. Reaches up for that disc and maybe a little contact on the hand as they both went up for that grab. And I think Zalk had the inside track on that one too, Emmy.
Each player is entitled to their own vertical space, and they can both equally make a play on the disc, but within their vertical space to get there, this disc is going to come back. To Glatt. Checked back in. Across the middle, but incomplete. Friskee back on offense. working it up the near sideline for a few passes. Big yards to Gann. Gann looking, trying to throw to Wickrama. He gets it to Glatt instead, who happens to be the D-line handler. So another opportunity for a break for Slow White. Big swing to Fisher. Upside down, and timeout called, turning into a long point.
Yeah, and this is definitely one that both teams want to get for very different reasons, of course, Emmy. Slow White has the opportunity to take a 4-point lead and start to really say that they're in the driver's seat of this game, whereas Friskee needs to stay in the conversation by scoring this hold as well.
So the winner of this game will go on to play the winner of Seattle Mixtape Black Eagles. Mixtape, the defending US champions, Black Eagles, out of Great Britain. Very strong team from the other side of the pond.
Yeah, and that game's happening just behind us, Emmy. And Seattle Mixtape is currently leading that one 5-2 as well. So the exact same score as this game. Very early on still in the game, so hard to predict what's going to happen, but interesting to see similar matchups.
So another opportunity to break here at these sunny fields in Lebanon, Ohio. The grass is fairly long, but some of the players have said there's a little bit of inconsistency in the smoothness of the terrain. So sometimes it's a little bit bumpy as you're running down the pitch. And so we've seen a little bit of tripping, not as much in this game today, but it's summer, not as much rain, makes the ground a little bit harder and uneven. Back in play, tight coverage. Nelson goes to the ground, calls a foul, no contest. She caught it, but by calling a foul, she's able to get back up, check it back into play. Bounces off the hands. Second attempt is good. The huck in the air. Straight line, Lexi Zalk. She'll continue to Patrick Barron. And Slow White gets another break.
Slow White making that look so easy once they managed to work it to the other side of the field. They had to get it to that open side, able to put up that big huck after the layout D attempt there. 6-2 now.
If you want to be a high performer, eat like one. Start with a balanced diet and drink plenty of water. Good nutrition is one of the best ways to boost your mental and your physical health.
Straight shot to the end zone. Lexi Zalk gets the assist. And always frustrating must be frustrating for Friskee. Do such a nice job getting that layout block, but has the perfect angle to keep it alive. So Friskee called the timeout. As they're going on offense, a good opportunity to maybe come out with a set play out of a timeout.
Yeah, you always want to see something like that to generate that little bit of spark as well and get the momentum going again for your team.
Friskee, as a warm-up, went to the Sunbreak tournament in Seattle that is held over 4th of July weekend. An opportunity to bond together as a team. It's such a fun environment, camping and all of that, and to help get over the jet lag, as it's quite a significant time difference. Wait with the pull. Wickrama catches, centers to Thomas. Gaining more yards. Big fake to the end zone. Nice footwork, juke from Wickrama to be open. A pick called. And approaching the red zone, staying on that far sideline, now on the front cone, the hammer overhead finds that open Friskee receiver.
I mean, that is one of my favorite plays to see in Ultimate, the far wide open player on the break side of the end zone. No hesitation in opting for that hammer. It wasn't too late in the stall count, but good patience before making that decision as well. You often see those turned over when that's a little bit rushed. So good patience and easily reeled in. That's the kind of response you want right out of a timeout.
A lot of great control there from Catherine Smith to shoot that hammer over to Doucette. Doucette now with his second goal of the game. So Friskee needing to get a break here to take it within 2. Catherine Smith goes by Kat. She's from Townsville. Her home city is Brisbane, 24-year-old. She wrote in her player survey, she loves flicks and hammers. We can see why. Slow White setting up with the isolation of Johnson. Get into the far sideline. Trahey over to Smith. Caitlin Go, Stanford standout. Over Vicky Chang now. Johnson working hard to get open, but a pick called in the meantime. Chang locking eyes with the dump, goes overhead. On the break side, the end zone pass incomplete. Trahey's body language really helps communicate how he most likely feels after throwing that.
Yeah, you're definitely going to feel like you should have executed that one a little bit better. Wide open throw, no mark on him yet either, and still throwing that one into the ground.
So Friskee with an opportunity to get the ever so valuable break. Count rising, reset to Gann. Continuing, Rory Connell. Connell sees Gann deep, one-on-one. Gann got up, but it just was a little too high.
Yeah, again, getting a little bit sucked in by the help defense there from Slow White. I think it caused it to go up a little bit too early, so unable to come down with that one.
So Slow White back on offense. Johnson near sideline. Hottie Toddy written on the back of his jersey. Intended for Chang, but intercepted. Friskee now on the move. There's the Huck running onto it. A little bit of a late bid. Rachel Parsons got the block on the other end of the field, hoping she could also get the score. She'll hobble off with an injury call. That looked like a pretty hard fall on the bid.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunately something we see all too often when somebody does bid a little bit late, trying with all their effort to get to that falling disc, and you end up falling a little bit too hard on the ground.
So her injury sub comes back in with the layout positioning, stomach on the ground. Sarah Hammer in for Parsons. Slow White looking for the continue. Outstretched Ferguson catches it. Chang is open on the far sideline. Big blade for Johnson. Johnson catches with one hand. Looking to reset. And quick continue. Slow White gets the goal. Tommy Ferguson second.
Yeah, and that's some of the play that Slow White does so well, transitioning so quickly up the field after that huck to Johnson. The huck goes up, and teams don't often get up the field that quickly. So watching the way they provide a reset, and immediately there's an option in the end zone from that reset as well.
That was Vicky Chang, how about that with her big, soaring, bladey huck to Johnson.
Yeah, and that's the case when putting up a blade makes it really hard for the defender to make a play on it. There was no float, perfectly into the hands of Johnson, trusting your receiver as well.
Tanner Johnson will record the assist, his 10th of the tournament. But he wouldn't have had the assist without the hockey assist from Vicky Chang to gain all those yards. So Slow White, if they can get a break here, they will take it to half. But Friskee, with a little shaky start after maybe their first point or so, have been able to convert. Wickrama over to Smith. The reset. Smith just overthrown on the strike cut. Slow White with the opportunity to take it to half. Glatt will swing it to Nelson. Out of Nelson's reach. Now favorable field position. The hammer goes up, but there's the block.
And that's a case, I mean, where rushing that hammer decision is going to cause a turnover. By the time Wickrama got there, his receiver was no longer open in the end zone.
And Patrick Barron with his second block of the game gives Slow White another opportunity to break. A little bit of discussion with the front pylon. Ariel Nelson looking to centers to Glatt. Nice bid from Doherty. Zalk to Nelson. Zalk getting spacing over the top to Fisher. Glatt. And floating their two defenders, they sandwich Patrick Barron so he cannot catch that huck.
Yeah, there's no way Patrick Barron can get up to make a play on that disc without causing too much contact as well. Well done to Catherine Smith. She got in front of him there, boxed him out. Great defensive play by Friskee.
And even though Barron has the height advantage, Smith certainly the positional advantage coming in to help on that. Wickrama. Swings far sideline. Intercepted. Now Slow White. High release backhand behind the back to Daniel Glatt, and that is a goal for Slow White to take it to half.
Yeah, Slow White making that once again look very easy. We haven't seen them be completely perfect in this first half. They have caused quite a few errors, but still taking advantage of plays like this one in particular and taking it to half.
Olivia Hampton with her second assist to Daniel Glatt, his first goal. Slow White leads 8-5 over Friskee. 8-.
There is a place where we are us at our best.
A place where everyone is welcome,
regardless of age, shape, skin color, or anything else that tries to box people in.
A place where we defy the odds.
And even defy gravity.
a place that knows grit, knows grace, knows bright lights, and knows empty bleachers.
A place where we remember to laugh,
where we learn to trust,
and eventually even learn to fly.
a place where character, community, and competition
Are all as balanced as a disc in flight.
That place isn't in a stadium or on a field.
That place is in the spirit of our players.
Because we don't just play ultimate, we live ultimate.
Welcome back. We are at halftime in this bracket play matchup where Slow White out of Boston, the United States, leads Friskee from Sydney, Australia, 8-3. And Becky, Slow White taking advantage of the break opportunities.
Yeah, we've seen Slow White really dominate, especially in the second part of this first half. They started to find their rhythm a little bit. Not totally perfect. They made some mistakes. But when they're able to run down discs like that one there, it's hard to compare really the two plays. Friskee, on the other hand, they were solid at the start of the first half, Emmy. They came out with a beautifully clean first offensive point. Since then, unable to really generate any offense off their defensive turns. They have managed to get some of those turns, but not converting, and that is the difference in this game.
Have an exciting second half of play underway. Championship implications for the winner of this game. We'll be back with the second half after this.
Mala fama, it means infamous. Bad fame. Bad fame. Mala, bad, fama, fame. Bad fame.
Well, my name is Daniela, and I'm from Malafama of Mexico City.
My name is Dre, and I live in Texas, but I'm playing with Malafama.
We're giving handcrafts from Mexico. We're giving a skull, a handmade skull, and little animals that are alebrijes. There are little things that help you
cross over to death.
Yeah.
Right, so they don't linger in limbo.
Exactly.
Like the movie Coco?
Yeah, exactly. That's a Mexican thing. And
Candy,
yeah.
spicy candy and sweet candy.
The second half of play here in Lebanon, Ohio. Emmy Fitzgerald with Becky Thompson. Friskee hoping to get a series of breaks, have the break train leave the station to overcome the 5-goal deficit they currently have over Boston's Slow White. It's a young team. Slow White, a combination of veterans and youth players. Always really talented. Multiple nationals appearances. They are missing, though, their coach, Marshall Goff. He was not able to make the trip to WUCC. The team misses him. Of course, he's a longtime coach of the team, but they seem to be heeding a lot of his instruction with their play in this first half.
Yeah, it can be tough when you don't have your coach to keep you together. It's very hard as a captain to have to think about that little bit extra of strategy adjustments and all those different aspects that come with coaching. But it looks like Slow White has been set up very, very well from all of their training leading up to this in order to capitalize on these big moments, hopefully taking them to a championship bracket.
So Slow White coming out of their huddle. Friskee now on the line, ready and excited to go. The coach trying to keep things light, throwing it to the different players on the team. How does that kind of help a team, Becky, staying pumped?
Well, I think it helps you stay just a little bit engaged, knowing that somebody always has your back from the sideline as well. It's great to have that talk and that pump up when sometimes you get inside your own head, right? So having a coach can help totally calm that down.
So Friskee, we've talked about the coaching duo. Second half underway. The winner will play the winner of Seattle Mixtape, Great Britain Black Eagles. Boston with the disc to pull. So Friskee will have an opportunity to score the first point of the second half. Wickrama catches the pull for to Chung. Now Gan motioning Wickrama to come over. Maybe a little bit of a hand on that disc, but it's still completed. Wickrama shoots deep, but Gan was not setting up a deep cut. That's a connection we've seen a lot, but didn't work out here.
Yeah, we've seen them able to create that kind of chemistry and know their receiver. Wickrama usually on point with his throws as well, so a little bit uncharacteristic from what we've seen so far in the first half.
It was a really nice huck, just no receiver there to catch it. Now disc back to White, Baranis to Wait. Wait with the big fakes. Quick passes right up the middle of the field. Nelson will center it back to Schachter. High catch. Nelson looks for the end zone, and running right underneath it is Sean Doherty. Gets the goal, the first score of the second half and the first break of the second half.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I mean, Nelson made that look like it was a set play as well, knowing that Doherty was going holstered for a minute here, but looks up to see the streaking Doherty to the end zone, and a beautiful around flick into space. No defenders anywhere near Doherty here.
Doherty getting his first goal of the game, his 5th so far of the tournament. And Slow White so far using a wide range of their roster for scores and goals. Tommy Ferguson currently leading in goals with 2, but then you have a lot of players with 1. 7 players with 1 goal apiece.
Yeah, and that's a characteristic we see often on these really deep, talented teams that are winning national championships as well as competing on the world stage. They're able to use a wide array of their players on the field.
And the pull is floating. This time Smith will receive. Wickrama taking a breather. Smith winding up big, but instead swings across the field to Hammer. Smith running onto it. Backhand huck. It's hanging one-on-one. And on the second attempt is caught.
Catherine Smith just airing that one out, and I want to give credit to Max Halden there, who saw Catherine Smith cutting up the line, could have taken her out in order to get that disc, lets her get to it first, airs it out into space, and actually gets missed on the first one before running it down, just narrowly keeping that one in bounds as well. A great score here from Friskee, and really needing that point to try and stay involved in the conversation here.
Laughlin Murphy bats it away, but has enough end zone to come onto it to get his first goal of the game. So much great closing speed, though, from Smith getting into her that power position. And Becky, that closing speed, the power position, you really fuels the strength that a player can get on their huck.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're seeing that in a situation there with Catherine Smith, able to get her entire body behind it. When you're in that power position, you usually don't have a mark set up on you yet. You're able to take that time and focus in on your throw without that pressure.
Smith playing in the Asia Oceanic All-Star Tour post-Worlds. So there'll be more of her to come as Slow White's O-line gets back on the field. Go falls to the ground to keep the possession alive. Johnson puts up the huck, looking for Caitlin Go, and Caitlin Go goes up for it with one hand, signals, my bad. Uncharacteristic for the Callahan finalist.
Yeah, it's not something we see Go do very often. She was a dominant player for Stanford this year in the USA College Series. Pretty flawless with those decisions for the most part, and we're seeing an opportunity now for Friskee to get their first break of the second half.
Friskee underneath throw, overthrows right outside of the end zone, probably 25 yards back or so. Go open underneath, bounces off of her hands, but a foul called on the throw. Smith with the disc. Now coming in on 0. Will swing in center to Chang. Anyo to Johnson. That fill from the handler spot to Ferguson. Chang end zone offense from Slow White. Patience, the jumping catch from Johnson. He signals, he wants that inside look. The one-handed continuation catch from Vicky Chang gives another goal to Slow White.
Yeah, and I like the way that Slow White really cuts for each other as well. They're clearing to make space all the way through that end zone and constantly turning their heads on a swivel to see when it's their turn to cut. Great score here from Slow White.
Slow White 5 points away from victory. We'll be back after this.
Do you want to avoid overuse injuries? Cross-train. Get your exercise routine out of a routine and mix it up with a variety of activities. Your muscles, tendons, and joints will thank you later.
Slow White registering their 10th goal of the game in this pre-quarter match with DIF 2018 WUCC World Ultimate Club Championships. That pole floats, is inbounds. Eunice Chang some question whether, I think if it was up or down.
Yeah, hard to see her laying out away from us here, but it looks like they've decided that it was down and it will be a Slow White disc.
So immediate end zone possession for Slow White. And one pass is all it takes. Ariel Nelson can register the goal for her.
Yeah, and a great little break side cut there from Nelson, cutting hard to the open side. That backhand force there from Friskee allows for that little easy over the top, little pop pass into the end zone. And that's, I mean, that's a textbook isolation play at the front of a stack there.
So let's take a look at the down call. It's the throw from Smith, and Chang went, she dove for it, trying to keep the disc alive, but instead gives a break to Slow White.
Yeah, and Slow White is definitely a team that's going to punish you every time that they get gifted even a chance on your doorstep like that.
It is a game to 15. Friskee hoping to close the gap. There's still plenty of time left if Friskee is able to go on a run of breaks. Just not many more points that Slow White need to score. Wickrama catches Chang to Gan. Gan looking deep. It's fading left, but that snag is good. Deborah Lee is not in. She'll reset. And the continuation reset pass incomplete. A heartbreaker for Friskee as Slow White throws the huck going coast to coast. Two-handed grab is what it takes for Ryan Turner to get the score.
You could see Alex Gann there really wanted to get that one back, flying in to try and get that layout block, but an unfortunate drop again. This has been the story of, especially of the second half, gifting these opportunities to Slow White, and Slow White is just going to take advantage every single time.
So we had some really nice receptions from Friskee to get in that favorable field position, but unforced errors is just like an afternoon snack for Slow White to gobble up, as they have 12 points, a timeout called on the field.
Gann was very close to that D though, Emmy. I mean, getting that kind of layout block at this point of the game, I mean, you're 12-4 down, but it can definitely still help re-energize your team. So Friskee, I think, needs to also reflect on the fact that they have been a matter of inches away from several of these plays, but Slow White just dominating right now.
And that is the separation of a lot of teams. You can see Friskee has all of the right components, and they're making so many good plays. Then there's maybe one execution error or a miscommunication, and Slow White immediately takes advantage of it. But as we go further on in the tournament, those are the crucial elements that everyone must employ.
Yeah, and those are the things that you make one simple execution error. It could be the difference between a 1-point game as well as we move on. The winner of this game to face the winner of Black Sheep Mixtape as well in a quarterfinal. Those are two very good teams as well that aren't going to make a lot of mistakes.
Friskee on the line before the timeout is over. They are ready to go, eager to get a score. Their sideline still up and excited. They've gone through the evolution with their jersey kits either. Their colors are pink and blue, largely due to an overzealous tie-dyeing session. But it actually has ended up working for them because the pink with the heart and playing with heart and all of that. Wickrama catches the pull on the run, trying to gain yards before the defense can really set. And right there is Lundqvist, but a foul called. Catherine Smith was the intended receiver. After some discussion, they'll go to the game advisor. So contested foul, it'll go back to Wickrama. And Lundqvist taking a really good path to the disc.
Yeah, I think Smith maybe just feeling like she got bodied on the way to the disc, but hard to see how Lundqvist didn't just get to that one first, Emmy.
And now a question whether the first pass is up to Cheng. The second time there's been a low pass to her, using her body to keep it. This will be called up. Through coverage, it's caught. Line drive of a Huck. Straight to Lexi Zalk. Slow White advancing. Swinging across. Zalk to Glatt. Barron to Lundqvist. She'll reset it to Doherty. Hampton continues to Glatt. Slow White using those high release backhands to continue. Now will center it. Zalk to Hampton. In the end zone, nearly. Annie Fisher, and not in, but the next throw is. That's a goal for Olivia Hampton.
Friskee finally now, Emmy, starting to look a little bit hard done by as well. Slow White is just shredding through this defense.
So Slow White in this second half of play leads Friskee 13-4.
Heat illness strikes kids and adults alike during summer workouts. Watch for muscle cramps, fever, nausea, headache, weakness, or feeling faint. Act fast to get cool and get fluids.
And Slow White showing their dominance in this game. 2 points away from the win. Friskee putting out a new line than what we've seen so far on offense. Trying to generate some big looks right away. Far sideline, Thomas. And a pick called. Working it with the handlers, continuing. Thomas Vo, tall, high throw, bounces off the hands. This is the 14th point, and it's good.
And again, how quickly Slow White is transitioning from these mistakes. That has really been what has put the nail in the coffin here for Friskee. The way Hatchet was already making that cut before the disc is even picked up by his teammate. The transitions are, they're taking apart the Friskee defense right now.
Very, very clean transition offense as Walker Hatchet gets that goal. And now Slow White in a game point scenario if they can break here.
Yeah, and Friskee haven't managed to score more than 1 point in the second half as well, and that's definitely not the way you want to go out in a pre-quarter. Look to maybe make them really earn this victory as well. Go on a run here.
Friskee, the team from Sydney, really working through some strong handlers on offense. Their O-line is back on the field. They took a break before. Good hang time from the pull. Wickrama catches it, still inbounds. Smith back to Wickrama. Tight mark on Gann. Deborah Lee this time has to go to the ground for it. Centered back to Gann inside Smith. Smith says she loves that backhand, but instead she'll use the flick to go to Wickrama. Chung. One-handed catch for Smith. It's floating, 2 defenders underneath, but Alexander Gann gets the disc for the score.
Yeah, and Friskee will be thrilled with that. You can see their excitement running onto the field. Alexander Gann hasn't had the most consistent of games, so great to see him come down with that as well. He's only 22 and has already played for U24 national team this year, as well as the men's beach team in Royan in 2017. So great to see him now showing up the World Ultimate Club Championships with a huge sky over some of the best USA mixed players out there.
In double coverage, has so much explosion and really knew how to body himself into favorable positioning. So now Slow White will get it on offense. Friskee needing to get a break. Friskee will pull. Alexander Gann saying he does not like it when there's sweet things in savory dishes, but he likes putting savory things in sweet dishes. It's a curious comment.
Have you never dipped French fries in ice cream, Emmy?
I love it. And a Callahan for Friskee. The first throw is intercepted. A wonderful pull. Laughlin Murphy with his second goal.
Murphy just read that perfectly, telegraphed it as we usually say. That's an absolute confidence booster here as well for Friskee to Callahan on slow white, making this game 14-6. But Friskee, what a way to make them absolutely work for it. And I mean, you never want to say never. I love that Callahan from Murphy.
Friskee needed a break to stay alive, and they got it before Slow White could even complete one pass. Laughlin Murphy is the tallest player on the team. He's a carpenter in Sydney. Laughlin said the highlight of his ultimate career was winning silver at U24s in 2015. So Slow White back on offense. Working it up the near sideline. And high release, floating in the air, grabbed out of the sky by the Friskee defense. Another shot at a break if they can go coast to coast. Rory Connell to Murphy. Hand block by Slow White. Now Johnson telling his team to settle down a little bit. But they know if they score here, that will be the game. Despite the bid, Chang is there. Count rising. Chang puts up the high release backhand. It's still caught, but not in the end zone. A tight squeeze of a throw to Johnson, and Johnson will continue on to Mary Glickman to get the 15th goal of the game and the win.
Slow White once again making that just look very easy at the end. I love the way Tanner Johnson just tells his team, let's settle down, let's finish this the way we know how, and controlling that, getting the assist on that final goal as well.
A young player in Johnson, but so much ultimate experience. The backhand to Glickman as Boston Slow White defeats Friskee of Sydney in this pre-quarters game, 15-6. Becky, what do you think are some important qualities that Slow White will really want to highlight going into the rest of the tournament?
Well, we absolutely have to highlight their transition offense here, Emmy. Anytime that disc dropped to the ground, they were immediately making the next decision and looking forward to see what was open upfield. That was an absolute, I mean, that is going to be a threatening ability that they have going forward.
And the big looks from Slow White as they go to defeat Friskee 15-6 and move on to the quarterfinal matchup. It will be played on Thursday. But for now, for Becky Thompson, I'm Emmy Fitzgerald. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Catch it early. Help us teach kids about cancer symptoms through Ultimate Frisbee clinics. Join us and speak up.